3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome to another Conversations Abroad. This is going to be an exciting segment that we have. This is episode number 3 or number 2, however you want to call it. Forget about the numbers. But anyway, we're going to talk this episode. We're going to talk about a worldly, not a worldly relationship, but a godly relationship. We're going to talk about a relationship within the Christian realm and why we think it's so important to have Jesus Christ in the middle. So we have my 2 trusty friends. We have over here
Josue,
Wes,
and we're just going to deliver you this other podcast of Conversations Abroad. Stay tuned. Secular dating, or when I met my wife, I met her through the church, and it was probably it's the best experience in my life to finding that person where you don't have to worry about cheating or being insecure what she's doing, or she don't have to be insecure of thinking what I'm doing, is because the word faithful, everybody, whether in your godly marriage, or whether you're going to church, or whether you have God in the center of your marriage, everybody wants a relationship that they're faithful. And the word is so simple. It's you're full of faith. And that's why I think the Christian having God or Christ in the center of our marriage, we're full of faith in Christ. So it kind of comes together. It kind of comes together that we have to be faithful towards each other. And I've lived a life where I didn't have God, and I've dated, and what it normally leads to is a place where you don't trust each other. And I'm pretty sure there's other couples out there that are living just fine and they're doing great with each other. But at least when I put Christ in the middle of my relationship, I knew that there was a certain standard of what love looked like. And that's the problem that I had with my relationship. I didn't know what love was like. And when Jesus introduced himself into my life, I was able to be that exemplary husband, not because of me, not because of my work, is because I have a blueprint to work with. So that's kind of like my perspective of a godly marriage is.
Amen. And with me, when I first got together with Diana, we got married. I feel like I brought a lot of baggage because I dated more in the secular world than when I was a Christian. When I was a Christian, I only dated one girl before I got married. Whereas in the secular world, I had multiple girlfriends, and I feel that I was bringing all that baggage with me, and when you compare it, when you say like dating in the secular world, I think it falls under more lust than love, but when you have God in your relationship, for those young adults out there who are dating and thinking about marriage, if you keep Christ in the center, like you said, now, you have that different perspective. You have that godly protection over your relationship, and you can make better decisions. You can be in true agape love, which is what God, the way he loves us. Whereas, when you're in the world, it's more fleshy, it's more lustfulness, and not that true, genuine love,
Yeah, absolutely. And for myself, my wife and I, we had a long distance relationship, and those were 5 hours in between, so, speaking to, what Janice was talking about, the faithfulness and just not having to worry or anything like that. That's a plus because, we trusted each other. We obviously we're not the jealous type of people. However, we did trust each other, and we knew that God was in the midst of everything. Now, that one thing they talked about, Josue, like bringing in baggage or having those other experiences. I remember growing up, my childhood pastor, always talked about, that, especially speaking about being virgins and just saving yourself until you get married. He always taught me, look, Wes, when you get married, you're a virgin, and you save yourself. Why? Because when you get married, you'll be able to experience something with your wife that only you and your wife can have, and no one else can have a piece of that. And that always spoke volumes to me. And thank God, that was such a great advice at a young age. But for me, that's obviously there's much more to it than that. But as a godly couple or godly relationship, it's truly something that you want God to be in the center of, because it'll blossom into such a beautiful flower. And I'm not saying that it has to be that way, but what I'm saying is that there's things that either you'll deal with or you won't. But just to honor God in that way, it's a beautiful thing.
Amen. And it's one of those things where, like, we want to make sure that we also, make it clear that there's no perfect marriage.
Absolutely.
Like, I know I can speak from experience that even though we were a godly couple, and even though we put Christ in center, even though we got married, that first year, and I'm not going to speak about this openly with my wife's permission. I won't get in trouble for this because we talk about this all the time. We had a very rough first year, and to the point where the word divorce popped up a couple times in that first year. But then we see godly counsel, and that's the important thing. If you're newlywed and you're a Christian and you're struggling or you're battling, don't think that, this is not God then, or maybe I married the wrong person. Instead, you have to fight for your marriage, because I feel like that's the definition of a godly marriage. Right? You got to fight for that marriage, but also seek godly counsel, because if it wasn't for the godly counsel that we sought, we probably would have ended our marriage. But we had an amazing couple, Carlos Olmo and Jessica Olmo. They were there with us. They cried with us. They laughed with us. They encouraged us and gave us advice. And for the glory of God, here we're almost 13 years married, and now I can say we have a godly marriage.
That's such a great point that you bring up. What we've learned also. It's a commitment. Aside from you have obviously your flesh desires and all the sex and all that. It's every day you wake up. It is a committed. We learned this, right? Yes. We are committed to our wives. We are committed to love them, to take care of our family, and this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm gonna do, and there's no question. Amen. I'm committed to you. And I'm telling you, man, like this is beyond love. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I mean we love each other, but I think this is much more deeper than the physical appearance and all that stuff. So, we're Candy, I'm committed to you. I'm just messing. No, it's a commitment that and I say that I joke around, but I say very seriously because I'm never gonna waver there.
And just to go back, like on our previous podcast, talking about why is it so important to have like a manly circle around us. And as Josue was talking about, like marriage wasn't easy, and I'm pretty sure it's harder for some people and easier for some, but that you do have to fight for it. And sometimes without that manly counsel, without having that brother with you, you could have a person giving you bad advice, and you could have another person giving you good 100%. Advice. You could have one that's single, that's living that swinger life, and be like, hey man, go to the club with me and I'll make you forget about that. Or you could have that godly example, and they say, hey man, you have to fight for that relationship. And when you guys are talking about being with that one that you call that your loved one, it's maintenance. You have to maintain it. And a lot of times, so many people, without communication and without asking the questions, sometimes we let a bad relationship, we see the red flags and it's years beyond. And then when the marriages fall apart, we try to fix it, but guess what? It's too late. But if we have that godly men around us and we're talking with each other, we could get those red flags and we could catch it at the right time. And it's just like a car, like every 5,000 miles, you got to change that oil for your car, or that engine's gonna break. And working for your marriage is taking that maintenance and also educating ourselves, because sometimes we don't see the problem one way, and another person or another brother is experiencing it, and we could all help each other that way.
Amen. I love it. I love where the conversation's going, because this is unscripted. I want you guys to know this is unscripted, and all three of us are hitting something so important. And I feel that there's a viewer out there who's struggling in their marriage, and I want you to know that it's worth fighting for your marriage. 100%. It is worth fighting for your marriage. It's worth investing in your marriage. One thing that I used in my marriage that helped me 2 different occasions throughout the marriage was the Love Dare book. I did the Love Dare book, and it showed me that I had to honor my wife. Sometimes we're like, oh, well, she doesn't do this for me, she doesn't do that for me, or whatever. But it's about like I love what Wesley was saying. It's about a commitment, and what you're saying is about maintenance. If you notice what everything is going to is that it's about investing and it's about putting in the work, right? And men, you put in the work first.
Absolutely.
When you put in the work, it's gonna flow. You're gonna reap what you sow. But if you're not sowing, love language to your spouse, if you don't know your spouse's love language, then you're not gonna reap the benefits. Yeah. And let's be real. I think we could be real. Sex is one of those benefits. It's part of being in a godly marriage. And I know Wesley touched on it first. He was itching to say it, but it's the truth. It's about when you invest in your spouse and you show that love and you show that godly agape love, which means that it's unconditional, you're gonna reap the benefits.
Yeah, that's so good. I know I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, okay. Anything.
Yeah. No, that was really good. Actually, something came up in my mind and it kind of went out. But one thing, so when you were talking about unconditional love and investing, and you're talking about your relationship, for me what popped up in my mind was the scripture that let me tell you this first. A lot of times we as guys, this is what you said, is that us being first to approach. And a lot of times we think as the guys, I don't know where this came from, but we think she got to serve me. She's got to do it to me. She's got to show it. But we're guys. We're the brave ones. We're the courageous ones. We gotta swallow our pride and say, I'm sorry first. Right. We got to swallow our pride and talk and share emotions. And I don't care how manly you are. You have to affirm to your wife and talk to her and affirm you're beautiful, you're wonderfully created. Why? Is because sometimes women, at least some women, they could be insecure and they need to know that you're still in love with them. Absolutely. Even if they gained a little weight, you just say, no, you're skinny. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is that you just got to remember that you got to make the initiative. And I love what Apostle Paul says, that Christ died for the church, or the Christ serves the church. But the second part is that husband loves your wives like Christ loved the church. And it's a sacrificial love. It's a sacrificial love. I don't care how invested you are in a football game. I don't care how invested you are to a video game. Nothing is more important than putting that time with your wife. I understand me time, self-care. I totally understand that, but it is hard work, and we got to cultivate that relationship.
That is 100%, 1,000,000% true. And that time with your wife is very important. My wife and I, recently went on vacation in Mexico, and it was like, no kids for a good 10 days. It was such an awesome time, and that's so important that you cannot neglect that time. Those, just where you could go out and just maybe sit at a restaurant and just talk nonsense. Or, obviously when you're home you talk, but it's just so much better, in a different setting where you could just kind of just talk about maybe nonsense or things that are important, or just kind of just talk. I think that is a really, really, really important thing that needs to be done.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. And when was the last time you went on a date? Valentine's is coming up. When this airs, it might be Valentine's Day weekend. I don't know. It's crazy. So listen, if you haven't taken your wife out on a date, that's something you have to do. You got to invest in your marriage.
So we're selling gift cards.
This podcast is sponsored by 1-800-Flowers. Get your discount down below. I think we did pretty good. Well, that's it. That's it for this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. I think this is probably one of my favorite ones. I just got into a bunch of stuff that I had to reveal off my chest that I haven't done in a long time. But I think, like my brother Josue says, that I think that there's someone out there that's listening to this, that you might feel discouraged, that you might feel like maybe your relationship might be going down. God is a God of miracles, and pray for that and cultivate that. And we hope that you could stay tuned into this podcast. And, if you don't have a brother with you in your zone, that you could consider us brothers, and you could learn a thing or two. Well, that's it for this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Amen.
Thank you for watching another episode of Conversations Abroad. If you want to see our previous episodes, you could click on the thumbnail. If you want to see future content on what we provide, you could click on the subscribe button, hit the bell for further notification. Thank you for watching.